Hey, how's it going? Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? What is up? Happy Saturday. What are you guys working on? I've been working on quite a bit. So as you noticed, or may or may not have noticed, last weekend I was not here on the stream. I was out of town. We went to South Dakota and explored all over South Dakota. It was actually pretty awesome. Man, thank you guys so much. I'll get to thank yous here in a second. But yeah, so last weekend, I apologize. Wife and I were out of town. We took a road trip to South Dakota. It was actually super awesome. Like I'm super impressed with that area, like the Badlands and Black Hills and Mount Rushmore. That whole area was so awesome. Perfect weather too. So I apologize for not being here last weekend, but I'm here today. So I going live like I normally do. Looks like some new names in here, so I'll get to that here in a second. There were some follows and subs, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, let me know what you guys are working on. I know that there's quite a bit going on in both Discord and on Twitter. I see it, and I see what you guys are working on. So I'm curious to know if anything I can help with, or anything you just want to share. It's go for it. Totally fine. Wide open forum. Something that I've kind of been working on. Well, I have a couple things in the pipeline. One I'm going to be working on immediately after this to prepare for this week for something for you guys and for everyone. But other than that, like just recently, like last night, I was just kind of sitting around and working on a couple things, and I was like, you know what? Like I'm just kind of like sitting on this Windows 11, this huge, elephant in the room. Like I'm gonna do it sometime. Like why not try it now? So I upgraded to Windows 11. This whole entire stream is running on Windows 11 and it's totally fine. I was super hesitant, and not because I'm just being like cautious or just pessimistic about Windows 11. I mean, of course, there's lots of things to be pessimistic about. But I think there's things to be optimistic about, a new UI, new age of Windows and all of this stuff. And you guys know that I run Mac, Windows, Linux. I run it all. Server, desktop, Pis, you name it. I have it all. MacBook sitting right here that I work on all day for software development. Windows runs this. All my servers, all but like two are Linux, all 20 of them. So I use a lot of different operating systems, and I use different tools for the jobs. So anyways, long story short, I was like, why don't I just try this? Like I've always been an early adopter of technology. Usually, you name it, Windows 7, 8, 8.1, 10, I jumped on early, even early Windows 10 fast ring, super fast ring, destroy your machine betas I jumped on. 11, I was kind of like a little bit hesitant about, and it's not because like I thought it was going to be a bad product or something was inherently wrong with it. Because it's new, I just thought, well, this machine that I use right here, drives this stream. It drives all of my YouTube content. It actually drives all of my software development, outside of work. So on work, I use Mac. Home, I use Windows to develop on top of WSL. And I just thought there's a lot of moving parts there, between my NVIDIA graphics card, all of my rendering software, WSL, all my development tools. But you know what? I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'll work through it. As long as, I did Google ahead of time. Are there compatibility issues with the Go XLR? Because if the Go XLR did not work, there's no way I could do it, because then I wouldn't be able to stream with this microphone and everything else. And I didn't see anything. And I actually saw that Go XLR updated their page to say it's compatible with Windows 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever. And I was like, okay, that's kind of reassuring. So I did it. And so far, there's been zero problems. There's one little weird thing I've noticed. I think they need to fix their sound for some reason. And maybe it's Go XLR. It's probably Go XLR. Maybe it's Windows. But for every now and then, it'll say like there's no sound device plugged in, which technically it's either my Go XLR is disconnecting or Windows isn't detecting it. And it happened right before the stream. That's why I was a little bit late. I was like, oh my gosh, I know this works. I've been listening to music with my Go XLR and my microphone. Like this should totally work. So I was just fumbling around here and there, and then I don't know. I didn't unplug or plug in anything. I just switched audio devices a few times, and then it worked. And then Of course, OBS was like, I don't understand all of these devices you have now, so I had to set that up. So I apologize for being a little bit late. Anyways, this is not a Windows 11 stream. I just thought I did it right before. I did it this morning, and I was sharing stuff out on Twitter and Discord about like some of my experiences so far. So I figured I'd mention it here. So if something goes wrong, it's 100% Windows 11 fault. Anyways, so yeah, let me know what you guys are working on. There's a ton going on in Discord. I love it. There's a ton of chat going on right now. I'm going to hop into it. We're going to get to everything you guys are talking about. So if you're posting something or feel like there's already a ton of message, don't worry. Post it. We'll get to it for sure. So a couple of things. So let's roll back. First of all, let's see. Let's look at the list of things that happened. What happened? What happened yet today? I'm going to start with this one happened not too long ago, and I'll start from there. Player Roblox followed the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Mean Flow follow. Thank you so much. Appreciate the follow. Thank you. Welcome. ClearX. Thanks for the follow. Ilude, resub, tier 1, 14 months streak. Dude, thank you so much, dude. And then I saw you gifted 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Dude, thank you so much, Ilude. You didn't have to. You do so much for the community already. I really appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So those gifted subs went to, if I can expand, Redstone Games, Turkey Turnkey. I think that's Turkey Turnkey. Turkey Turney. Oh, that's right. no K on the second one. Zynol or Shinol and Synced and Sweet Tech. Enjoy your gifted sub from Ilude. Thanks again, dude. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Takano Prime sub, 15 months. Takano, how's it going, man? How's it going? How can we troll you with points? I've been dangling this large point redemption over your head for a long time. I still don't know what it is. I know what it is. I know what I want it to be. I just don't have the tech or the time to do it yet. But hopefully after I get some things out of the way, that will happen. Exor, dude, how's it going, man? Speaking of mods, how's it going, man? How's it going? Resub, tier 1, 14 months. Dude, thank you so much. Oh, man. Dude, Exor. And then Hype Train. Dude, Exor, thank you so much. Dude, you really didn't have to. Exor, how's it going, man? Gifted 5 tier 1s. Dude, thank you guys so much. Really, you don't have to. I really appreciate it. So thank you. So, Lakerus, Patch, Fox Live, My Secure Gift, Eric Rodriguez, and Normal Value. All right, you guys enjoy your gifted stuff from Exor. Dude, thank you guys so much. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's get into comments. Let's dig in. Let's figure out what's going on, what you guys are working on, what I may or may not be able to help with, what I can possibly help with, and what I can just babble about. But let me know for sure. So let's go up here. Oh, the hype train's in the way. See who the first one here was. I think this is right, even though the hype train's kind of in the way. Manny 01. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for being first. Mafney, you're real close. Boo. I'm assuming the boo is for Halloween and not because you were second. You're usually first. But how's it going? I'm assuming it's for Halloween or it's for me. That's totally fine too. Speaking of Halloween, I'm not even gonna. Yeah. Anyways, I was gonna have a face cam ready, but I just couldn't wing it in time. I was already running late. And I figured I was going to do something, but I just said, you know what, we'll do it some other time. Next Halloween. First time chat from viewer. Ona Death Star. Hi, how's it going? How are you? Mr. Jobot, how's it going? Hi, everyone. First time chat again. Hey, thanks for being here. Ricked Boy. Hi, how's it going? How are you? Ilude, thanks for the subs. Appreciate it. Diabetes Tech. Hello from Portugal. Hello, how's it going? How are things in Portugal? Hopefully well. Let's see, Takano, working on a quick last-minute Halloween window projection. Nice, man. Yeah. What are you going to do? I know that last time, I think, last winter, I was razzing you about your Christmas display. You were getting a ton of Christmas lights all wired up and working and switches and tons of hardware and software. And I think that turned out okay. I don't remember how it turned out. I remember all the work that went into it. Halloween window projection. How's that going? I saw an awesome one the other day. I was walking the dogs and there's one that was kind of creepy. It was like, shine a projection on the window and it was just shadows of people like walking around in there and coming up to the window. Like it was kind of scary. Like that in itself wasn't scary, but the fact that, it was projection, but seemed almost real was the scary part, but it was just normal people just kind of walking around in a shadow and coming up to the window. And I was like, that looks too real. So let me know what yours is, because I'm always curious. I love it. Like every year, Halloween decorations, I feel like keep getting bigger and better and more high tech. Same with Halloween, or same with Christmas, or any holiday now. Seems a lot of tech is getting involved, and I love it. I love it. Johnny in full effect, trying to get Authelia working with her Helm chart in K3S. Hey, good luck with that. No, let me know how that's going. I know that. So when I did talked about Authelia a while back, I think their Kubernetes part was alpha or beta or whatever, just not 100% ready according to them, but still worked fine. Let me know how that's going. That one's kind of a tough one, but kind of a cool one, because if you're not familiar with Authelia is an auth proxy that you can use as a proxy to get to, or to provide authentication to all of your services and or sites. So if you need auth, want unified auth, want two-factor auth, third-party auth, you can put Authelia in the middle and then authenticate to that, and then that will then give you access to all of those sites. So super cool auth proxy, super lightweight too. But yeah, I agree that getting it running in Kubernetes, as most things, especially reverse proxies or auth proxies, or any kind of proxy in general, something that's in between sites or services that provides some kind of interception, can be tough. It can be tough, just like traffic or Nginx or anything, or Let's Encrypt. Those are tough ones to figure out. The cool thing is, though, I always say, once you figure those out, once you've solved it for everything, because the rest is just automatic. You create ingress routes or routes, depending on what you're using, and then they just work. So I'd hang in there. I don't know how close you are, but I did see some stuff in I think it was in Discord the other day, maybe yesterday. Anyways, let me know if I can help, or if I can dig something up, or something wasn't explained well in my video, because super fun. You're getting close. Ilude, painting up the Megadesk should be set up next weekend, I think. Nice. So Ilude's been working on this gigantic Megadesk with a keyboard tray that pulls out monitors everywhere, a gigantic monitor on front and center, and it's very similar to Wendell's. I don't know how similar, but the idea is similar. Is this gigantic desk that can hold lots of monitors, so it looks awesome. I'm super jealous. Like I just got my desk the way I wanted it about a year ago, and I'm already like, maybe I can do something. I think this desk has a 250-pound limit, so which seems like a lot, but when you start piling on, 3 monitors, 3 arms, cameras, lights, and then just a mess of devices and cords, that adds up pretty quick. But curious to know, because I too want a gigantic monitor in front. I already have 2 portraits here. You can't see them. I have 2 portraits. I should bring up a camera sometime so you guys can see what I see. But I have 2 portrait mode, and then one, in landscape mode, normal mode, or I don't know if landscape's normal. I tend to think it is. But it's just kind of smaller compared to the landscape. So I want to find a monitor that's as tall as my portraits are tall, which would be pretty awesome. Awesome. But let me know. I'd like to see it. Post more stuff. I want to see it. I haven't seen it in a while. Johnny in full effect. Ingress routes don't like cross namespaces to middlewares. Oh, I see. So cross namespaces, Kubernetes namespaces. I can see how that can be a problem. Yeah. So I mean, this is related to traffic, but it's sort of similar. Yeah. Cross namespace stuff in Kubernetes doesn't play well. And that's kind of why namespaces kind of exist. Organizational. I don't want to go as far as to say as it provides some security, but it can segment those pods or those resources, so they can only interact with other resources in that namespace. And I went crazy with namespaces the first time I did Kubernetes. I'm like, yeah, I need all these namespaces. I ended up getting rid of most of them and stick to default, which is, production for most people, but I stuck with default. But I did end up namespacing some of my traffic stuff, because I have two, I mean, it's the same idea with Athalia, but I have two ingresses, or I have two traffic proxies, both with different namespaces. Maybe I can share them with you in Discord to kind of help you understand how I segmented some stuff. But once you go the namespace route, I mean, it just creates this snowball effect of, okay, this resource has a namespace. Okay, now if it needs secrets, those need a namespace, and if it needs persistent volumes, now those need to be on the same namespace, and so on and so forth. And I got to a point where I wanted all of these to meet up to one common thing, and I couldn't get it to do, well, I could have if I hacked at it for long enough, but I ended up going a different route. So let me know if I can help you. I've done some of that stuff before, few things, but it sounds like you're a little bit deeper than me. Tall Ship, got a notification. Okay, I thought there was a live stream going on. I'll swing by later and check again. There is. There is. That's what this is. Techno, PoE is great for outdoor decoration stuff that needs power, I discovered. Nice. Yeah, good call. PoE is great for a lot of things. I run PoE stuff in my home. I haven't gone as far as like Unify. I want you to go. But you know, I have PoE access points, I have PoE mini switches, I have PoE Raspberry Pis, all being powered by my switch, which is fantastic. I even have PoE running up to here on a second jack in my room to test my Raspberry Pi stuff, so I don't have to like go down to my switch and do it. It's super awesome. And the cool thing about PoE then too is then you just throw that switch on battery backup, and then everything has battery backup that's attached to it. It's super awesome. You know, Unify is going all in with like PoE stuff. They even have like PoE floodlights, which is super awesome. You know, if maybe you're an enterprise and you have like 1,000 ports, but when you're like me who has 24 ports, I'm like, I can't dedicate, you know, one entire PoE port to an LED light. It sounds cool. It sounds awesome, especially if the power were to go out and have it click on like in a certain room. It sounds awesome, but I don't have that many ports to spare. But outdoors, it sounds awesome too, because then you just have low voltage. You have low voltage going out there and powering stuff, which is interesting, because it's like it's like turning it upside down. Rather than providing network to something and no power, you're providing power but no network to these devices. So super cool. But maybe it's network too. Let me know, Chicano. PC Geek, yo, what's up, man? How's it going? PC Geek. So if you don't know PC Geek, he's a moderator. And he and his wife created this nice little koozie for me. I've been using it. It's pretty awesome. It's got this in the mail. It's pretty awesome. It fits right in with my color scheme and color palette. It's like neon blue, pink, green, coral. I call that coral. It's neon orange, and then purple too. So it's pretty awesome. It's keeping my drink cool. If only I could have them long enough to to have them get warm. But it keeps my hands warm. That's for sure. Anyways, how's it going, man? I'm going with Ice Wolf. I have a question right off the bat. Let's go for it. Sigor, hey, how's it going? PC Geek busy at the moment, so I'm gonna lurk. Thank you, appreciate it, man. Let's see. And real quick, I do have a hard stop around 4-ish. It's a while out, but roughly an hour from when we started. I know I started a couple minutes late, so I'll probably go over a little bit too. But just to know, in about 40-ish minutes, I do have a hard stop because I got to wrap up some other things. John don't know. Johndon Norris, that's what I'm going with. Messing around with a custom Proxmox pfSense rig with 5 Ethernet ports. Awesome. Custom as in you built yourself, or you bought one specifically to run pfSense. I've seen a lot of those floating around. They have throughout the years. I think Network Chuck even had a device on there, just a mini device that has 5 ports and is, great for any network router, especially pfSense. Super awesome when you get like a small dedicated device for it. And so is a one-use server in a rack or anything really. But it doesn't take much to run power-wise, but it's pretty awesome when you get a device that's built specifically for it, or you're building one specifically for it. But that's awesome. 5 Ethernet ports. That's awesome too. So you can do a lot of teaming or trunking or whatever you want to do to connect it to switch or to WAN or failover WAN. You have a lot of options with 5 ports for sure. My devices always had like 2, and it was LAN and WAN, and then I expanded a little bit and did LAN WAN plus DMZ when I used to have things physical, and that was awesome. I thought that was I made it. I was like, yes, got 3 ports on my PF Sense. 2 of these, one's for LAN, one's for WAN, and one's for my DMZ, and that's where all my self-hosted stuff was. So like, this is back when I had a lot of physical networks. It was pretty awesome for sure. And that just went to another switch that was a totally different subnet, and that's where all my publicly hosted stuff was. Same idea I'm still doing today, but a lot of it's virtualized and using VLAN. So very, very similar, very similar stuff. Gunny 92, currently hungover, so no projects this evening. Gunny, I hope you feel better. I'm not hungover that often, but I know how that feels. Just that dull, aching headache. I actually get that a lot from not drinking enough water throughout the day. For some reason, my body's like, you need a ton of water, and if I go under a certain threshold, I have like the worst headache ever, and it's pretty much kind of what a hangover is, I think, besides the whole liver problem. Just lack of water and your body kind of kicking you for saying, hey, you need to get hydrated. Well, hope you feel better. John Doe, I got to get this right. John Doe. I'm going with John Doe Norris. John Doe Norris, AANA, Alcoholic Nerds of America. Yeah, there's a lot of people that fall into that category. Let's see. Takano, Techno Tim, opinion on the official Raspberry Pi PoE hat. Been looking at those versus third-party opinion. Opinion D. I like it. It's like a demon. Opinion D. All right, let's spin up Opinion D. My Opinion D on the official Raspberry Pi hat. I went the unofficial route at first, and then I think like it didn't fit with cases. That was my only problem. So I don't think there's a huge difference with unofficial ones. It's just that they put the fan in a different place. I won't say the wrong place. To where a lot of case manufacturers who are making cases specifically for the official one aren't going to have the cutout in the right place. So are they worse? No. Are they better? That's debatable. When I had an unofficial and an official, there was zero difference that I could tell. I mean, I didn't get out a gauge to see if it pulls more energy or if the fans were considerably louder. I mean, it was equally the same. But for me, it was my case didn't line up. I mean, we did that on stream a while ago. I built that Raspberry Pi with the PoE hat, and the very last step is put the case lid and seal it all together with my black ice case. And at the end, it just didn't line up. So it's not that they're worse or anything like that. It's just that if you're going to buy a case specifically that has a cutout for the fan that comes on a lot of the PoE hats, you might want to go with official. But otherwise, if you're using a case or no case, or you're going to rack mount them to where they're open air, yeah, go with something unofficial if you're going to save some bucks. But for me, I have one of each, and I see zero difference in them. Like I said, just case. Opinion D. I'll keep that daemon running. Let's see. Thank you. No problem. Thank you, Stefan 69er. Hi, Tim. Working on my first Python scraper. All right. I like it. So Python scraper. So you're writing a Python app or service to scrape data from websites. Awesome. I'm familiar with that stuff. I do a lot of that with JavaScript and Puppeteer and just a whole bunch of node modules. But I'm very, very familiar with that work. It's super fun and satisfying. I think when I first started getting into development, and even before web development, just development in general, I used to parse text files. And for some reason, I loved parsing text. That was like one of the most fun things I can do. One, because I had a text file. 2, because it was easy to debug. I wasn't hitting any external services. I was just parsing files on disk. And then 3, it was super interesting to find patterns within words, within sentences, or within structured or unstructured data, to be able to parse those out and then put that in something that's more structured, like a SQL database or a Mongo database or whatever. So I assume that since you're scraping some data from the web, you're getting unstructured, semi-unstructured data, right? You're scraping HTML, or maybe you're just hitting their endpoints to get data out from a JSON response. But then you're going to put that in your own structure or your own model, or create your own models for it. So it's super fun. Hope it goes well. I don't even know. I've done very little Python. I've written a few apps in Python, but I haven't done any web scraping yet. So you have to let me know how that goes. I know how it goes in JavaScript. Super fun. Between Cheerio and Puppeteer, I could scrape anything. Two libraries that are super fun to use and super fun to say. Let me know. Let me know how that goes. I've done some stuff, and if you run into stuff, ping me. I mean, I haven't done it with Python, but the challenges are exactly the same. Try to fly under the radar, try to look like another user of the web while getting data from a website. Sounds bad, but everyone does it. And it's no, anyways, I won't go into the, how ethical that is or not, because I mean, it's just as if a human were getting it from a website, except for it's not a human. Anyways, IceWolf, I'm just getting started on making a more advanced network for my home lab. What do you do for your VLANs and more? Oh, that's coming. I want to virtualize pfSense for my entire rack. So that means I have to pick a host to always have on, but I'm okay with that. I have a Cisco Catalyst switch and a few hosts, but that's it. Okay, so a couple questions in here. So IceWolf, what do I do for my VLANs and more? Okay, so I'll start with what I used to do. So what I used to do was I did use pfSense. For a while, I didn't use VLANs. That doesn't mean I didn't have my network segmented. I just used lots of subnets. So I went really wide on networks and managed all that networking individually, lots of firewall rules. I mean, the same things you get from VLANs. In theory, except for with a different technology. And so I used to do that for a long time. But, within the last, 9 months, I switched over. I've been using a Unify device, but the brand or maker doesn't matter. What I got from that was the ability to use VLANs easily everywhere. And so I ended up creating, I think I have 5 or 6 VLANs. One is not used. One's going to be used someday. You know how that is. You do just in case. This whole just in case I need it type mentality. It's if you're a developer or anyone tech, you always do things just in case and then realize, why did I do that? I'm never going to use it. Anyways, I have like 5 or 6 VLANs. And they're divided up like this. Obviously there's my LAN, which is none, wide open. There's my trusted network, which is a VLAN in itself, which has most devices that I trust. Trust is left to the interpreter, but to me that means it's a device that, for the most part, I can use or, which are most things, but it's systems that are either protected by antivirus or protected by some kind of updates. It's real muddy. But for the most part, that's where my laptops live. That's where my desktops live. That's where my mobile phones can connect. Arguably are those trusted, but I kind of trust, Apple and Google to keep some of this stuff safe. It doesn't mean I don't have other measures in place further upstream. But anyways, I have my trusted network. Then I have an IoT network, and I divided that up and said all IoT devices live on there because I have no idea. I can't interrogate you. I can't open up a console or SSH into you guys. I can't run any kind of antivirus. All I can do is just hope that you guys don't get hacked and that you're not leaking my data. And if you are leaking my data, you're on a VLAN with just other IoT devices, which are kind of just having an IoT party. So anyways, I've separated those out, put those all in the IoT VLAN, and that's also has a wireless aspect. So I have a wireless SSID that also broadcasts that VLAN where they all kind of live. Firewall rules in place to say, hey, those devices can't come across. I can go the other way. So I have firewall rules that basically say, hey, if the origin is some trusted network and your destination is the IoT, let it go through, because sometimes I want to ping devices or look at things, but it doesn't go the other way. And then I have a server trusted VLAN, which is kind of the same. It's servers that I trust. But what that means is that these servers don't have direct access to the internet incoming. So I have trusted servers. Think of I have Portainer running, right? And on that Portainer, I might have Plex running, and this is a trusted server. This is a server that I can interrogate, I can inspect, I can do whatever. And Plex was a bad example, but for the most part, they don't have public internet stuff coming directly in. Then there's the server untrusted VLAN, which is the opposite of that one, and I kind of alluded to it, which is servers which have that are running public workloads. I guess that's a better way to put it. They're running workloads that of things I self-host publicly, where people could come to my website, come to my blog, download resources from me if I'm, on my Nextcloud instance. So there's this whole entire VLAN where it's like, okay, this VLAN is segmented, it's server untrusted, and that's where those types of things go. Because if any one of those get compromised, then I don't want anything to happen on any of my other networks. And that's why I logically divided those between server trusted and server untrusted. And then I have a couple more that I have a guest VLAN. That's like only for guest wireless network, which no one has ever used to this day yet since I've set it up, because no one has come over and needed guest network. But that was one of the things where I'm like, well, while I'm doing this, I'm going to create a guest network, a guest VLAN, and put them all on there. Anyways, and then I have one or two more VLANs. So I'm sorry, I'm going on about that. So I do that in Unify. It doesn't have to be Unify because the ideas and the principles are kind of the same. Pick roles or pick areas that your servers or desktops or whatever these devices will be doing. Kind of bucket those into logical groups and say, these devices do this kind of thing, these devices do, this kind of thing or serve this purpose, and break them up that way. Anyways, and I always recommend It's My Natural Color. He has a great YouTube series on how to do it for Unify. It doesn't matter if you're doing it with Unify or not, because he supplies like a spreadsheet and a way to do it and a way to think about it, and he explains it in a really great way of how you can do that same thing for your own network. I don't know. I feel better. Maybe it's misplaced trust, but I feel better having IoT on stuff. I've always put public servers on their own network. When I mentioned earlier, I had a DMZ. This server's untrusted is basically my DMZ, and that's where that stuff goes. So I try to, and it's all just to mitigate risk. That's all it is I'm just trying to mitigate risk. If something happens to one of these devices and it gets compromised, what can it do on that network? And for me, with IoTs, what could it do on that network? Well, I could listen to other IoT devices. Is that great? No, that would still suck. I have, lights here, lights there, you name it, garage door openers that are on there, that it would not be good. But how I mitigate that risk was to then say, okay, well, they can do or listen to stuff on that network, but they can't get to my network on my trusted network where I'm, creating videos, creating documents, where my, all of my documents live, or my storage network, And so anyways, long story short, those are the types of things you'll have to think about. You can do all that too. This is not product specific or product. It's definitely product agnostic, and pfSense supports VLAN. So anyways, good topic for discussion. I have a lot of that coming soon. Explaining more of my network, how things are set up. That's all coming. I'm not going to be coy, but that's kind of what I've been working on. 2 big videos coming soon to talk about both hardware and software and services, everything that I'm using, and just kind of laying it all out there. So watch for that. But yeah, good topic. You're lubing, you're priming the engine for me of things I've been thinking about and how to explain them. And some I already have. Titan, Kara, Tim, what did you say about K3 OS in prod environment? What do I say about it? Go for it. I mean, what's not to like about a hardened OS that only runs K3S? Like, it's fantastic. And it could be immutable too, where your config lives somewhere. The OS is, kind of sort of immutable, where you can't easily or at all make changes to it every time it boots up. It may or may not boot off the same OS without changes. I think it's good for me. And again, like if you want to run a hardened OS for K3S, like that's fantastic. That's what it's made for. A minimal hardened OS just to run containers for K3S. For me, personally, I tried it a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I run Ubuntu like everywhere, and it was different enough that it was kind of painful for me personally to maintain. To say, okay, these devices are different. I have to maintain them different. I have to support them different. I have to back them up different. They were just different enough to where I decided against it. Nothing wrong with it. But if you want to harden minimal OS for K3. K3 OS is definitely the way to go. Tech Evangelist, how's it going? Excited to not be doing anything. Yes, all right, me too. Recorded my talk for reInvent yesterday and can veg out. Awesome. Isn't that great to have something like that totally done? I with any project, it's great having it behind you. I know that. I know that feeling well. I have that feeling right now. I had that feeling. I had that feeling on about Sunday, last week when I released my last video, and now it's just worrying about this next one and working on this next one. So I go through that every week, weekish, and we all do with a lot of things. With anything you have to prepare for, it's great to have those things behind you. Enjoy the time and definitely veg out extra hard. Because congratulations on getting your talk done for reInvent. Sounds awesome. I'll have to check it out. XOR, yo, how's it going? How's it going, man? Thank you so much for your resub and the gifted subs, dude. I keep saying I'm going to get this. John Doe Norris. I wasn't able to get my Windows 11 VM to display more than 800 by 600 resolution. Interesting. So there's a couple of things that maybe. So you're probably talking about virtualizing with Proxmox. This is what I released, I think, last weekend. There's a couple things you can try. One is you're going to try installing the Spice drivers. There's also a way to install more drivers. I think during my video, I ran the MSI. You can run the executable, which bundles in a couple of other services. I don't know if that'll install a better driver. But what I do is I use RDP to get into to any virtual machine that's running Windows. I don't go through any terminal or a console that they gave me. Like in Proxmox, you have the VNC viewer, the web viewer. Like, it's great in a pinch. But I absolutely never, ever go there. I never go there. How do I remote into any remote Ubuntu server or Linux server? It's SSH. How do I remote into any Windows server remotely? Virtualized or not, it's RDP. It's always RDP. So RDP should give you more options than just 800 by 600. If you're doing it, through VNC and through that web portal, it thinks it's it's using a virtual, like some monitor that it doesn't really understand. Like, it thinks it's a physical monitor, and you might have to install some additional drivers like Spice or something else. But like I mentioned, just RDP into it. You'll be impressed by the performance, and you'll get any resolution I think you could possibly want because it's a virtual adapter from Microsoft. So give that a shot. Let me know. Manny01, got my new Raspberry Pi 02 today. Nice. I saw they were launched. And I'm now trying to build a Pi 4 cluster. Awesome. Yeah, I have a Pi 0, like one of the original Pi 0s. I still love it. Still runs today. Still running the same micro SD card that it was running the day I put it in. Like, I've had zero problems with it. That thing is bulletproof. And I really enjoy it. I haven't looked at the Pi 2, Pi 02s yet. I think they come with Wi-Fi now. I haven't looked at all the other connections that they have, but I love mine. So awesome. Interested to know what you're going to put on that cluster. I should know more about them. I saw they were launched. I've seen some videos on them, but I just can't remember the specs off the top of my head. So awesome. John Doe Norris. I'm going to get it. John Doe. I'm just going to say John Doe because that's easy. John Doe. Cool. I didn't think they're available yet. I've seen them on social media. I'll put it that way. And it could be, people like Jeff Geerling or so-and-so who get them ahead of time. Yeah, it's true. Are they available to the public yet? I don't know. Sometimes that stuff's hard to tell, You see videos because some people get pre-release hardware from companies who want them to have videos on the launch day for marketing. And you really never know. Like, can I buy this thing yet? But I'm not sure. I think you can. Flibit. Hi, I got Plex running as a container in my cluster. Nice. I launched it in Rancher after adding 2 NFS volumes. All right. In Plex, I cannot get my NFS files when I add the media library. I can only see what's on my desktop. Any clues? Thanks. Okay, let's break this down. Plex running as a container on my cluster, got it. Launch in Rancher after adding 2 NFS volumes, got it. In Plex, I cannot get my NFS files when I cannot get to my NFS files when I add a media library. I can only see what's on my desktop. Any clues? No, I mean, so the only thing I can think of is if they are mounted. A couple things you can check. One, are they really mounted? Like, are they available to that deployment? So in Kubernetes, it's going to be deployment. And if you created those NFS volumes, they're probably claims. And that's just creating the volume itself. And then you have to tie that deployment to that volume, which is the claim. I'm assuming you did that. If not, that's a place to check to just make sure. Another thing you can do is instead of going through the GUI and trying to see if it works, and you're probably only seeing folders, like you said, your desktop, what I would try doing is exec into that pod. So if you're using Rancher, it should be easy. Is like clicking on the I think it's a hot dog, a hamburger menu, ellipsis menu. Click on that, exec into the pod, and then try to CD to one of those directories. So CD to whack whatever you're doing, movies, I assume. You're going to have a /movies or a /TV shows, and see if you can do it from inside the pod, like take the UI out of the mix. But most likely, if you don't see it there, it's not going to happen. So I'm guessing to check to make sure that your volume is truly mounted to that pod and not just available in Kubernetes as a claim. That's what I would try. That's what I would go after. And then if that didn't work, I would try to remount them or make sure that your NFS connection is really working. Sometimes even though, so check your NFS connection, make sure you have the right password permissions and you can actually connect to it. You might be able to try that from a different, if you're using a Linux machine, try from a different Linux machine or a different container, mount that NFS share and make sure you can get to it that way too. Those are the things I would try if I were you. But if not, ping me in Discord or something. We could try to figure it out. But try those things for sure. I would make sure, like I said, that your deployment has that volume defined. Exec into the pod to see if you can get to that volume on the path you've defined. And if that doesn't work, like I said, if you have another virtual machine that's a similar host OS, Ubuntu or whatever, try to mount the NFS share and see if you can get to it that way. Because it's going to be one of those things. Because like NFS does work with Kubernetes, so but I know it's frustrating when those things happen. It's like, where do I even begin to look? That's where I'd look. Manny, John Doe, they are. I bought mine Friday and it arrived today. All right, thanks. Yeah, question answered. Gumshoe Noir from Mesa, Arizona. Nice. Yeah, Southwest. All right. I've never been to Mesa, but I've been all over Arizona. So awesome. Yeah, I love it. I love the area, Southwest, so much. Just the not the extreme heat, but just the dryness and the scenery is fantastic. GeoSwan. Let's see, GeoSwan at the Moen setting up TDAR server. Nice. Yeah, TDAR super popular. Takano 18.2K channel points. Oh my gosh. I lose 21,000 channel points. Oh man. So I have to raise the bar to what the next redemption is going to be for sure. Let's see. Manny, haha, yes. XOR, no problem at all. Tim, been a while, so I want to drop by and say hi. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it, man. Gumshoe Noir. Techno Tim, a question about NFS user password permissions. TrueNAS exports NFS shares with users and passwords configured. Proxmox data center storage mounts NFS shares from TrueNAS. Yep. Can I mount that share if I leave permissions wide open on TrueNAS? Where in Proxmox, can I enter the user password so I can lock down TrueNAS share permissions? I'm looking at Proxmox storage docs here. Yada, yada, yada. I see username password for CIFS, but not NFS. Yeah, good question. So so the way that I've secured NFS is different than CIFS. For NFS, you have to restrict by IP. That's all I've been able to do it with it for me. So the way that I have mine set up is basically say, hey, in Proxmox, I have an NFS share that I point to TrueNAS, and for TrueNAS, it is essentially wide open, but then I restrict it by IP address and say only this IP address can mount this share, and that's how I do it. And I say one of these 3 Proxmox nodes can do it. I'm not a huge, I use NFS like everywhere, but I'm not great at like the implications behind setting it up and some of the features that it supports. But like I said, I've always done it by, I leave it open, but restricted by IP address. And if you're looking for a great video, like it's not going to be mine, but if you're looking for a great video on NFS permissions, Tom Lawrence and Lawrence Systems, he's got tons of them. He's got tons of great ones. And then Craft Computing always does too. But I think Tom Lawrence is the one that he has one specifically on TrueNAS and setting up NFS shares and permissions. That's the one I usually go to every time. But that's how I do it. It's not... I mean, it doesn't have user credentials, but it's restricted by IP. And those IPs are one of 3 of my TrueNAS servers. Techiham. That's what I'm going. Techiham. First time chat. Thank you. Hello. First time getting on here. I followed your YouTube guide on installing Rancher and Docker video, and that was made about a year ago. When I followed the guide here a few months ago, I couldn't get them to run correctly. It wouldn't run and then stop and repeat the process. Is there a newer version guide of installing Docker, Rancher, Kubernetes? Thanks. There isn't from me, but my documentation is up to date. I know that things have changed. Things changed actually shortly after I created that video. That's why it's always tough to create tech videos or instructionals or tutorials on technology that's rapidly evolving, something like Rancher. It's been rapidly evolving, drastically changed in 2.5 and drastically changed in 2.6. But my documentation that's behind it, you'll find a link to my documentation in all of my videos. If you click on that and search, it may or may not land you on the right article. If not, just search for the video name, and they're all named by the video name, and it will give updated documentation on how to do it. With that one, I bet you're missing just the privilege flag, because in 2.5, Rancher started saying, okay, if you're going to run it as a Docker container, you have to run it in privilege mode, which that wasn't part of the Docker, Rancher 2.4 that I made the video on. And then things have changed in 2.6, not necessarily about how you instantiate it, but more of how it looks. So there are big changes to the UI. But long story short, look for those updated flags. They should be there. Everything else should work exactly the same, except for the UI might look a little bit different, especially if you're doing it today with Rancher 2.6. But let me know. And if that documentation is still wrong on GitHub, let me know, or comment on it, or open an issue, or open a pull request to fix it. That would be awesome, but I'll check it out too. Let's see. Xavius. Techno Tim, I know the title says Windows 11, but I have some questions. Yeah, it has nothing to do with Windows 11 other than this stream is being run on Windows 11 right now. So if it goes haywire, that's why. I'm currently running Proxmox with a VM for my Jellyfin transmission server. Only a couple of hard drives. I wanted to add in a TrueNAS server. I'm looking at perhaps a Dell R620 with 192 gigabytes of RAM for a file server, or using a 720 XD with 12 hard drives as a file server. What would you recommend running a TrueNAS server on Metal by itself, or using another for VMs for such, or all together? Hey, let me grab a drink. I got a lot of opinions. I'm making sure Opinion D is running. Okay, so my opinion, this has changed over time, and it might, may or may not match up to what you think. It's just my opinion. Both devices that you mentioned, so R620 is going to be a great. Either of those devices are going to be a great device for running an NAS. But running only an NAS, as if it's like some tiny thing, it's not. Lots of drives. But if you're going to be running it as a NAS, that's a ton of compute. That's a ton of compute for just a NAS, right? So most of the time when you buy those servers, it's going to come maxed out to the gills, right? It's gonna come with tons of RAM, as you mentioned. It's probably going to come with dual processors, both with tons of cores and lots of fans. So Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's a lot of compute, and so that's a lot of energy you're going to be pulling all day long for just a file server. Air quotes on there because they're very important, but most of the time it doesn't require a ton of compute or RAM. ZFS, roughly is going to take more RAM than most, but you can get by with 32 or 64 gigs of RAM ZFS depending on how big that ZFS volume is. Anyways, long story short, if you can get multiple things out of that server, the better, right? So whenever you can consolidate workloads onto the same infrastructure, you're getting more value out of it, and you're starting to justify the cost of keeping the power on all the time for just that. So that's the route I went a long time ago. Is I ended up buying a server to do virtualization, and then within that server, one of my workloads is a virtual TrueNAS. It's FreeNAS at the time, it's TrueNAS now, same idea. It'll be TrueNAS scale soon. But that was my thinking. I was like, there's a ton of compute on here. I have 32 or 48 logical processors, tons of RAM. Like I can't dedicate all of that to just my NAS, air quotes, just my NAS, because it can do so much more. And then why have a second device on that's going to be doing, just my virtualization when this one is more than capable of running my virtual workloads too. And so that's kind of my opinion. It's been my opinion for a while. I've still done it. There are some pros and cons to virtualizing it. But if you want to run it bare metal with either of those devices, it's totally going to be fine. It's totally going to be fine. You just might pay a little bit more in power. And then there might be some compute left on the table that you could be using for other things. So when I say compute, I'm just talking about just general CPU and RAM, more so on the CPU, that's left on the table. Because if you're using, 2% of 48 cores, you could, and then spinning up another server just to do your virtualization, I feel like maybe you can consolidate those two. But, but then again, like I said, there are some cons to doing that. For me, the con is every time I reboot my virtualization host, my storage solution is down. And that's not fun. Things have to be scheduled as they do with most stuff, but, not having storage there, and keeping the storage server at least inside of my hypervisor that's one of the downsides. When I reboot or patch firmware or patch the OS, I got to take my TrueNAS server down too, which is rare. It's like once a month I got to do, maintenance and reboot the thing, but it's still there. But I mean, I would have to reboot my TrueNAS anyways. So now I've kind of turned it upside down. I'm just like, okay, anytime there's a TrueNAS patch, that's when I schedule my downtime, because that's when I'll have to reboot it anyways. And so I just patch everything that needs to be patched and reboot everything all at the same time, since it's a guest on there too. But these are the things you'll figure out. I always lean toward virtualizing it because, like I said, there's a ton of energy draw from those devices, and if you can get more workloads on there, the better. And then you're not leaving compute on the table, and you're not, using tons of energy just to run your NAS. So, anyways, that was a long story about what I've been doing and learning. But your mileage may vary, and your needs may vary too. So, but yeah, let me know. It's going to be a walking animation. Oh yeah, it's creepy, Takano. Or ghosts just floating by the window. Yeah, the one I saw was like people walking back and forth, and then someone walking towards the window, kind of like they're looking out the window and then going back. It's kind of like the Home Alone scene, where he's trying to act like someone's home and there's some big party. It was kind of like that, except for a little creepier because there weren't any other lights on. But yeah, sounds awesome. The thing I realized is that I'm not even using a MikroTik CSS. Thing that I realized is that I'm not even using my MikroTik CSS 32, 24 gig 2S RM switch. Nice, Skull. Yeah, for sure. I only use it for 2 10 gig SFP plus ports, and that's it. Everything else has been switched to the Cisco switch I was given for free, as it's so nice to be able to get and pick up Ethernet cables and use it for power, for sure. John Doe Norris. Thank you, John Doe. Thank you. And the space helps. Thank you so much. Takano, I just wish this house had Ethernet jacks, since now there's just a ton of Ethernet cables running to places near the floor. Yeah, I've been there. When I was younger and we had Ethernet cables going between my brother's bedroom and mine, and it was fantastic because we could play like, I don't know, NBA Live, something on PC together, and it was just incredible that we had our own old at the time computers to be able to play games that were networked. But at the same time, like it's great once you get jacks. If you ever run them, run 2 or 4 and then leave a lead for next time because you're going to run more. That's my only advice there. It's great once you do it. It's not great doing it. It's one of those things that you're so glad after you did it, but you dread thinking about how you're going to get all those wires through the wall and cutting out holes and terminating them. But getting wires to where you want them is definitely the hardest part. Especially here, I had to go from the basement all the way to the attic and then back down. It was not tough. I mean, it was not fun. It was tough. Let's see. Sunishi. In your video, when you virtualized pfSense, you had a VM called Shield XG. yeah, it's old school. Is that Sophos? Yeah, it was. So Sophos XG is another network appliance that I used for a long time, a virtual network appliance. And so I use pfSense. I've used tons. Untangle, Smoothwall, IPCOP, pfSense, OpenSense. And then I used Sophos XG for a while, and it was Sophos XG. It was pretty good. It was pretty cool. The thing I liked about it had a WAF built in, so a web application firewall, and it would basically spin up, I think, little Nginx, reverse proxies for you, and it was easy to put certificates on it. Got some really good reporting. And some protection too. They have a lot of protection built in. I mean, they're a security company. So I used it for a while. It was great. There are a few downsides to it, like everything. There's some cons to it too. It would go haywire. Like you could never switch your order of NICs. Like once you built it and had NICs in place, if you ever switched the order, it just wouldn't move NICs at all. So you had to physically, or if you're using it virtually, move those around and order those properly, either by name or by some other hacking. Might be fixed by now, but that was one of my big complaints. Every time I would restore the VM, I'd have to put these hacks in place again. But yeah, it was great. They have a home version that's, I think, limited to so much RAM and so much CPU. I think it might be 4 CPU, 4 RAM, or 8 gigs of RAM, which is great for most home users. Ultimately, I decided to go away from it. One of the big things I wanted was Let's Encrypt, because the biggest reason I went to it was because it had the web application firewall, which was awesome. I could have my reverse proxy on the edge, have SSL terminated on the edge. So then all that unencrypted traffic I can inspect afterwards, rather than terminating it way down in Kubernetes or whatever, like I do now. I liked it level up so that I can inspect that traffic to look for any kind of vulnerabilities or attacks and stuff like that. So it was super cool. But they didn't support Let's Encrypt, nor do I think maybe they do now. And it was just like, come on. Like, really? I know this is probably eaten into your business, because I think you sell certificates too, like a lot of other companies. But they all provide Let's Encrypt. So anyways, maybe they do now, but I've moved on since then, but I enjoyed it. It was great. I had a good run on XG Firewall. It was super fun. Johnny in full effect. Yeah, well. Let's see. Takano, I was looking at the ones without any fan at all, the super tiny third-party hats. Nice. I haven't even seen those. I wanted a fan for mine. I don't know why, because I was like, yeah, it's probably going to get warm in here now that I have PoE. That doesn't make any sense. But I was like, hey, 2 for 1. Like, my PoE can power this fan. I had it enclosed tightly in a case, and I thought, hey, why not? Let's get some air in there, because it's going to be a Kubernetes node. Stefan, I really like your parsing text files, especially where you find great regex that works. So satisfying. Yeah, I totally agree. I went old school. I was just doing string like replace or includes, and this was a lot of .NET stuff, very similar to JavaScript. But yeah, I love parsing text. I mean, that's how I got started in development. One of my first things was just like, I'm going to parse a ton of text. I mean, it's funny. I still have a lot of that code running here for some things that I do. It was just like, it still works. Not gonna change it. I did convert it from .NET to Node.js or JavaScript, but it was almost a 1-to-1 change. It was great. But yeah, I love it. Ilu, thank you for the Discord promo. Thank you. John Doe, due to supply shortages, I decided to repurpose a used HP 800 G1 small form factor. $23 as a pfSense runner. Nice. Added an EV 1246 V3, $60, and 24 gigs of RAM. Nice. I plan to use 2 ports for GP LANs and 2 for lag. Nice. Want to have a Ceph pool across 3 Proxmox nodes. Sounds awesome, man. This sounds like a pretty beefy pfSense node for what you're getting, for what you paid, for sure. Mafni, on the scraping part, I have done a script where I would snap a screenshot of the web page and part I wanted to scrape, and then I would use an ORC to read the file and then convert it to text and save the results to database. I like it. Yeah, I love it. OCR. Yeah. OCR. So that's interesting. I've never done that. I mean, I've done them in different parts. I've done OCR stuff. I've done snapshots of websites. I think you can do it with Puppeteer and a couple other tools where it's super awesome. Like you're running a headless browser and you can take a picture of, a screenshot of the browser that's running headless and there's no display at all. You have a virtual display, but pretty cool. So you're taking snapshots of websites and then converting it to OCR and then parsing the text that way. Woo, that is awesome. That is awesome. Viewer, Shinril, is that a Meta sweatshirt? No, it does look like it, doesn't it? This is not a Meta sweatshirt. No, I do not work for Facebook. No, this is a Discord sweatshirt. That's Discord's fancy logo. No, it's a Discord sweatshirt. It's a Discord right there. I promise it's not a Meta sweatshirt. I don't work for Facebook. You can't fool me even if you change your name. But yeah, good call. Yeah, it's funny when I saw their logo, I'm like, that's like a stretched out Visual Studio logo. Like they just stretched it and turned it just a tiny bit, like an infinite loop, which, arguably the old VS Code logo kind of looked like that, but it's basically like an infinite loop stretched. I don't know. Facebook needs to rebrand for sure. I predict they're going to rebrand all their products too. They're, rebrand the company because the company's not just Facebook, which makes sense. Rebrand the products because a lot of them have a bad public image. So that's Instagram. That for some reason people are cool with Instagram, not with Facebook, and it's like same company, same stuff. I don't know, but money makers for sure. Anyways, not a Meta logo, that's for sure. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I know people that work at that company, so nothing wrong with the company. It's just always fun to poke fun. It's easy to poke fun at them, for sure. Let's see. Okay, legalized. Love your videos. Recently got my first server, and your videos are helping out a lot. Nice. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm glad they're helping. It's definitely it turns into a lifelong hobby. At least it has for me. You get your first device and then it does great until you need to do more. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to upgrade this device. It's going to do a little more. And you never get rid of the old one because you're like, now I can do that other thing that I couldn't do before. So now I have 2 devices. And then you'll start to outgrow that one. And you're like, okay, I need a third one that will do all this new stuff. I'm not going to get rid of the second one because it can still run, some of the other stuff the first one was running. So I'll just run all that there now. And now I have something new on this low-powered, device that I could probably find something to run. And then, then you have a server rack in your basement and who knows what's going on. But yeah, thank you for that. I'm not trying to scare you, but it's super fun. And it's I don't know, one of the most rewarding hobbies I've ever had because it's like I learn so much. It's I don't even know if it's a hobby anymore. It's like my second job, but I love it. I love it for sure. Ice Wolf, thank you so much for answer. Helped a ton. I hope so. John Doe, has Tim renamed his channel to Metatim? No, it's not. It's not Meta for sure. Ice Wolf, so glad to hear there is more network content coming soon. That's awesome because that's exactly what I need. Yeah, it's going to be, higher level, just explaining how things work, but hopefully it helps you make some decisions. And like I said, if you're thinking about just segmenting your network in general, if you have IoT devices, the answer is yes for every single person that's listening probably. If you have, personal devices, you have a guest network, and you have, you might be self-hosting some stuff someday. It's good to think about those things and get them in soon. It's not hard to change later, but the longer you wait, the more you have to do. And I would highly recommend at that same time while you're making all those changes, set up local DNS too, because you don't want to touch that stuff twice. And if you're going to go through the anguish of creating VLANs and creating all new DHCP reservations for all these devices, why not just get local DNS internally running too at the same time? Because you're already there touching the DHCP reservation if you're going to use them. You know what the IP address is, copy paste, put the host name in your DNS server, and boom, you got 2 for 1. So combine the projects so it won't seem as bad, and then you reap a lot of rewards from it. Own a Death Star. Are you involved with DC612? The answer is no, because I have no idea what that is. I know it's 612. If it's area code, I know that area code, but I don't know DC 612. I don't. I have no idea. Can't say I recognize that. So I would have to say no, unless it's something like that I don't know about. Let's see. Enormous chunks. No GUI on SSH for Linux. Yeah, for sure. Why do you need a GUI on Linux? No, I'm kidding. No, I know what you mean. I see where. I know what you mean. Because if you're remoting into a Linux desktop, then okay, you need a GUI. So when I have done that stuff, I use Ramina. I think Ramina can do like all multi-protocol, RDP, like all different kinds of stuff. That client's pretty good. And then you can turn on VNC, which isn't great, but on Linux you can turn on VNC. Same with Mac OS, like that whole Nix-like environment. BSD and VNC. They need better remote desktop clients. Not to say that Microsoft's is fantastic, but it is kind of fantastic. It's pretty performant for what you need to do most of the time. Obviously, it's not going to be as great as playing games. Like you'd use something like Parsec for that, but for the most part, like RDP is solid and performant for what I need to do. It's usually remote in, do some stuff, run some commands, open some stuff, close some stuff, sign out. It's not any kind of intensive stuff. It's just I need a GUI for a little bit, and by the way, it might as well run good while we're at it. Crack Kitty, whoa, finally caught part of the stream. Hey, how's it going? I just realized I'm a little bit over. Okay, I'm gonna look for direct mentions. I want to make sure, John Doe, we've chatted quite a bit. I want to make sure that if people are mentioning me directly, I address it. Thank you, Tim. We'll do that. Going to the container now. Awesome. Let me know. I hope it works out. It's got to be one of those couple of things. At least that's where I would troubleshoot. So let me know. Techno Tim, I have 3 Proxmox nodes. I have a Docker servers on each. Can you point me to the direction of Docker Swarm so I have failover for my containers? Can you point me in the direction? Yeah, so if you are gonna go Docker Swarm, yeah, I would do it. I would probably manage that with Portainer. I haven't done. I'm totally honest with you. I've done a ton of Docker stuff. I've never done Swarm. I should spin it up once at least to do it. I know it's relatively easy and very similar to just running Docker. I assume it has a lot of the same challenges that Kubernetes does, because once you go from one to many, you got to figure those stuff out. How do you route? How do you handle storage? But I would say, like, if you've never done it, either start with, hey, hello world, like a hello world type solution for Docker Swarm, or go the Portainer route and have Portainer manage it that way, because Portainer is really awesome at managing Swarm for sure. Let's see. Abdurum, hey, how's it going? Hey, Techno Tim, how are you doing? So my ISP's router, which is next hop after my home router, keeps trying to specifically ping my laptop. That's not good. Why? When my laptop responds to the ping, it gets dropped by the modem. I always see this when I'm trying to learn networking using Wireshark. Their router can't seem to catch a break. The packet also registers communication administratively filtered. The ISP is spooky too. I have a flat network too, rip. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Your ISP router is trying to ping your devices? Why? I mean, yeah, why? If my ISP's router was doing anything other than, being NAT for my network, I would definitely worry about that. The sad thing too is it's on your local network, so you probably have your firewall down too, right? Yeah, I mean, most of the time you say, hey, trust things on this network that I'm on right now, but might be a good reason to turn it back on. Yeah, super weird. Super weird. I'm interested to know how this plays out. Looking for direct mentions because I said I'm a little bit over. Homeland New, hi Tim, how's it going? How's it going, man? US or UK today? I'm betting UK. Ramina, yeah, talking about Ramina. Own a Death Star, Techno Tim, DC62 is a hacker makerspace in MN. That's why I said I recognize the 612. Your knowledge would really help them. Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Thanks for pointing it out. It's, since the pandemic, conferences, meetups, all this stuff, dev meetups have just not existed. I know they have virtually not the same, but those conferences don't get as much publicity as if there was a physical meetup. You could open the meetup app and just be like, oh, cool, these are the things that are happening around me. Maybe I'll pop in. So yeah, good to know. I knew the 612 because that's the area code for most people here in the Twin Cities area. I didn't know the DC. So yeah, thank you, Own a Death Star. I'll check them out for sure. Best place to post a question on Discord. Can't post in help. Sorry, new to it. Hey, no worry, Own a Death Star. So in Discord, just post it in the topic. If it's about networking, we have a network channel. Yeah, this is good. It's like I planted you here for the end. We have networking channels. We have infrastructure channels. We have containerization channels. We have hypervisor channel if it's about virtualization, hardware channels. We have all kinds of channels. Just post on the closest topic. It's not a hard hey, we're going to delete your comment. It just helps people find it. And some people subscribe to only specific channels. They may be into virtualization, but in the hypervisor channel, but maybe not in containerization. So just post it in the closest channel, and that's as good as you can do, for sure. TTH Spur, quick question. I was following your tutorial on how to make a Twitch moderator bot by having trouble connecting to the bot to do what I want it to do. It will connect, but as soon as I type a word I've tested, the bot just disconnects and having it reconnecting. Is there anything I can do to fix this? So a couple things, like if when you type a word, so what I would do, how would I debug this? Okay, so I just spun up a Twitch app or any JavaScript app or any app, doesn't matter, code. I do something and it crashes, and I don't have any great logs. I would start debugging it, and what I mean by that is put in breakpoints. So put in a breakpoint when the app starts up, and then put in a breakpoint right within the first method that triggers when you do the action. So for me, it would be on that Twitch bot. It would be like, hey, on connected. I think on connected is an event you can subscribe to. I would put a breakpoint inside there and run the app. Okay, on connected work. I am connected. I'm connected to the Twitch service. It's working. Okay. What's the next thing I'm going to do? I'm going to type in a command, and that command in Twitch chat is going to end up triggering like on message. Okay, so in that event. In that on message event, let's put a breakpoint in there and see what happens. So you type in some words in chat, debug it, and you see the words come through, and then you're trying to parse something that might be undefined or the wrong thing, and it blows up, and you're like, okay, that's what's going on. So I would, it's just, it might sound like I'm oversimplifying because I know it's hard. That's what I would do. Every entry point that you're doing something, put in a breakpoint there and inspect the thing. And if you don't want to put in breakpoints, console log out the thing that you assume is happening or the parameter you're getting and see if it is what you're expecting. Because most likely, if it's disconnecting, it's crashing for the most part. If you're authenticated already and it's fine, it's because you're not handling some kind of exception and it's crashing. It's what it boils down to. So breakpoints and debug. That's part of being a developer. That's actually how I started developing. Was I did more of debugging. I felt like I was like DevOps before I was a real developer because I was debugging so many things that were running in an environment while trying to be a developer at the same time. But debugging is definitely your friend, and it's a huge part to writing code and being a software engineer. I know that everyone, I'm generalizing, but when I was starting to become a developer, I thought, yeah, I'm going to write all this code, and most of the time you're trying, the code is fairly easy to write if you understand the problem. It's all the edge cases and everything that could happen that's the hard part. And so debugging turns into one of the most valuable skills you can have as a developer. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox about development and debugging, but that should help. Let me know. Awesome, guys. So, hey, made it to the end. Hey, thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. I went a little bit over even when I said I was going to be a little bit shorter, but hey, thank you so much. Thanks so much. There was follows, there was subs, there was gifted subs. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Definitely not even ever required, but I greatly appreciate it for sure. It helps make things better for you, hopefully. So I appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions, join our Discord. Discord's full of lots of people. I was talking about some of the different channels. Lots of people, lots of different interests. Not all tech, not all the time, but if you have or don't have a group of people to talk this kind of tech to, it's the great Discord community to do that. Because like I mentioned a few times, I didn't have anyone in my life for a long time to talk about any of this stuff to. I still don't really. I mean, I have a few people they'll ask, but they're not like super deep into what I'm into. And so I found that this Discord server, a lot of people are, or a lot of people want to learn about that kind of thing too. So it's a great place, low friction, super chill, laid back. So love it if you join, and if you need the link, just !Discord, or look at some of the links down there. It should be right down there. Or I think we're in Discovery now. Just search Techno Tim in Discord, and I should pop up, hopefully, if their SEO works. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll have something out for you, hopefully this week, but I'll be back here next Saturday as planned. Have a great, safe Halloween. Tomorrow's Halloween. Today's Saturday, yeah. Have a great, safe Halloween. Enjoy it, and enjoy this nice weather. I didn't start with the weather. I'll end with the weather. Minnesota weather right now is fantastic. Mid-50s. Getting lows in the upper 30s, low 40s, and highs in the upper 50s, which is fantastic for me because I can wear sweatshirts anywhere, anytime, and be comfortable. So appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Halloween, and see you next time. Take care, folks.